Hey guys, Eric and Roth here. Talk about the second episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2, Heavy is the Head. Full spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, we're about to ruin it for you. I'm really liking... Ruin away. I'm really liking this season.
I am too.
And I was very happy because it was a strong premiere, but sometimes you're like, oh, well, they put everything into the premiere. Will it continue?
And now it's just going to suck all year.
Now it'll suck. No, but I was like, wow, the show is continuing this season, 2 episodes in, to feel very different this year.
I think you had mentioned this as well. I love that they picked up right where they left off because it actually jarred me for a moment, and I was like, right, the accident, what's going on?
Right.
I thought that was great. It gave it energy immediately, and that energy actually really carried through the rest of the episode. I was a little disappointed there were some really cool shots with the absorbing man, and I was excited that they had utilize their television budget, like somebody worked their butt off, basically, to make that happen. But I mean, is he gone? What's going on? I don't want to lose him this quickly.
I mean, I felt like the dialogue at the end with Talbot was to let us, the audience, know more than Talbot. Don't worry, he'll be back.
I feel like he'll be back, but like, do you think it's going to be one of those things where he's gone for 3 or 4 episodes and then pops back up? Or
I think he's gone for a while.
Yeah.
I think they're going to backburner him, but at the same time, he's very cool. They let us know he's not dead. He's still in play.
Do you guys want to keep him around episode per episode? Are you okay
with
him being gone for a bit?
I think they have to use that FX budget differently.
Sparing. You know what? That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Plus, we have Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah, we have Kyle MacLachlan. Let's just hold on to him for a second because I do want to talk about the Fitz and Simmons of it all as they're looking at us here. Well, he's looking at her, but no one can see her. I was also happy with how that was handled. It didn't quite answer my question from the premiere and your question about why they would even have him do this job.
Yeah.
But it kind of, first let's say that they got one thing out of the way, which is you kind of knew he'd prove himself. You know, even though he's not the man he once was, he could still show that he can be useful. So
with a little help from his friends.
With a little help from his friends, but I'm glad it happened in episode 2. Again, last season was very oddly paced. And things we kind of knew were coming or hoping were coming would take a lot longer than they needed to.
And I think the other thing that was cool about this episode was that they had the characters, the introduced characters, they really have a function right away.
Yes.
We get why they're there. I mean, if it's just to help Fitz, sort of his poor fried brain, still be effective for the team, great. You're serving a really good purpose.
Yeah, Mac, I thought, even though we got to know Hunter more, I still liked what we saw of Mac and his dynamic with Fitz.
I really liked Mac, actually. I mean, they were small moments, but I thought they were very humanizing moments. He had a lot of compassion. He's like this big hulking dude who could just smash you with his hand, who seemed very gentle with him. I actually really thought that came across very well.
Yeah, it was, and the 2 actors worked really well together. And Elizabeth Henstridge, who was in the scene, and yet obviously one character couldn't even see her.
Yeah.
Because season 1, you can't help but compare. Season 1, it was very hard to get invested in these characters. It took quite a while.
Yeah.
And so I was very impressed that second episode, these 2 guys who joined the team, and in the premiere, there wasn't really time to get to know them. And I was like, okay, I don't really get their deal. But then very quickly, the second episode's like, okay, we're going to let you know more about them. And by the end of that episode, I don't know everything, but I'm like, yeah, I want to see more of these 2.
Were you cool with them keeping Hunter around, even though he's obviously dangerous and betraying and calculated? And
yes, is it a little bit of a stretch? Sure, but at least the circumstance S.H.I.E.L.D. finds themselves in which they're complete. This episode underlined they will not, because there was that scene where they could have had it be like Talbot agreeing, I'll kind of look the other way, but he's not going to agree to that. So they still have to remain complete outlaws. So there is that little bit of like, we just need the help we can get, and you're good. And he really proved to be, again, not trustworthy, but at least more out for himself than I will help your enemies. It was because what he did, even though he totally betrayed them, still wasn't like,
I'm secretly Hydra.
Right, I'm secretly Hydra, or I'm even like going to hand you to Talbot or something.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm in it for me.
Yeah.
Is it a little bit of a stretch? Yes, but I think it was justified by the whole circumstance. What about you?
I'm mostly okay with it because of that. I do feel like it's weird because there's a part of me that feels like when you're in dire circumstances, you almost have to be more ruthless in a way and weed out any negative elements because that could ruin you're already in a perilous situation, you know what I mean? So like in The Walking Dead, for example, I mean, those are those moments when I used to watch it it where I was like, just toss Merle off the roof.
Right,
like in the
right.
first episode that we met him,
Yeah.
I was like, distract the zombies with this racist. It's perfect.
Right.
And so I feel like there's a part of me that's like, no, you've got to be ruthless and be like, all right, well, here, I'm throwing you to Hydra now. Good luck. You know?
Yeah. But he's not Merle, you know.
But he's not Merle.
Yeah.
And so I'll allow it.
Yeah, I'll allow it. And and again, it's just the whole situation this season, the fact that they are outlaws, are vigilantes, it all, the whole tone of the show, I think, is much more sort of inviting and immersive. And there was a whole like distancing last season. It was very hard to really believe in this reality and get into these people.
I think it was hard to like them last season a little bit initially.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they, in a lot of ways, sort of grew on you, and there were some characters that you liked better.
But the first several episodes, post-pilot, I felt.
And there's something about them being in a more vulnerable situation that does allow you to relate to them a little bit more, I think. Certainly, like even poor Coulson, right? I mean, although I always liked Coulson, but we already knew him.
Right.
I mean, we were all having lunch and whatever. Like, I feel like that what's going on with him and May is really interesting in that she would never let him be the director in this condition unless they absolutely had to. They had no other choice. And so now she's just managing a really volatile situation and has to allow him to be her boss.
Right, because there's no one to report him to,
I know. Yeah.
They're it. So yeah, it really helps us buy into the whole situation. And then you mentioned him earlier. Let's lastly talk about McLaughlin. McLaughlin, I think you pronounce it. We only got him in one scene, but I thought it was a pretty cool entrance.
I thought it was great. I mean, look, he could have just stood there and grimaced, and I would have. The truth is, I would have been happy with that because I'm just such a big fan of his. But I actually thought it was really great. You know, he in those few moments, Kate did come across as very menacing. I do not want Skye to be delivered to him. I'm entirely invested in that not happening, although I'm sure it will happen and it'll be really interesting. But I was very excited to see him.
And it was, Raina, who's a pretty cool character herself. Yeah, the fact that he would, be so willing to risk her life and just be like, hey, pick that thing up and we'll see what happens. I mean,
she's still a conundrum, right?
Yeah. She's an interesting...
Man?
She's just curious about things. So yeah, I thought that was really cool too. And of course, who is he? Is he, what is he still? He's got blood on his hands. So
with the blood, and he's obviously willing to sacrifice whoever. Like this is his one connection to his daughter, but he's like, I'll still let you die right now. Pick it up.
Yeah.
Pretty scary stuff. And I do like that she is still a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah, same here. So what do you guys think? Are you agreeing that S.H.I.E.L.D. is new and improved this season? Let us know in the comments. For all things Marvel and S.H.I.E.L.D., keep it here at IGN.